Okay. So, hello class, good afternoon. This is in continuation with our lecture last meeting. Okay. So, last meeting class, I had shown you the different symbols in RF flowchart. Okay? We have the input symbols, output symbols, processing symbols, storage symbols, and miscellaneous symbols. So, for examples, under our input-output symbol, we have the symbol for document, multiple copies of document, the input-output journal ledger, we have the display, online keying, terminal or personal computer, the transmittal tape, and we have for processing, the computer processing symbol, the manual operation symbol, the auxiliary operation symbol, the offline keying. And under our storage symbol, we have the cylinder, which is the magnetic disk or drive. We have the magnetic tape symbol and file. For our flow and miscellaneous symbols, we have arrow, the document or processing flow, the dotted arrow, a data or information flow, a communication link, on-page connector, off-page connector, terminal, decision, which is a diamond, and annotation symbol. Now, we're going to use those symbols in a flowchart. Let's not put them in application. Okay. But before I will go with the uh, flowchart, the use of those symbols, let's have first different types of flowcharts. See types of flowchart, we have three. We have document flowchart, system flowchart, and program flowchart. If we say document flowchart, it is being used to illustrate the flow of documents through an organization. It is useful for analyzing internal control procedures. For system flowchart is a logical representation of system input, processes, and outputs, and useful in system analysis and design. For program flowchart, it represents the logical sequence of program or program logic. Okay, so here class, we have an example of document flowchart. Okay, so we could see the progress of the document. Okay, here we have the first page of a document flowchart. We could see in this illustration that we have two departments. We have the payroll and accounts payable. And in reading the flowchart, we'll start from the top, going to the from top to the to bottom, or top to the lower to the bottom part, and then from left going to right. So I will repeat to make it clear for you, from top to bottom, left to right. Okay, so let's start now with payroll department. Okay, so dito class, pagsabayin natin. We have the human resource department and other departments. Okay, so if you see departments or other departments, we are be pertaining, it may pertain to the operations, to the accounting, and to the marketing and any other department. Okay, because those department are the one who provides time cards. Okay, we say time card, this is a card that shows the in and out, or the number of days the specific employee entered or is present in his or her workplace. Okay, so here class, we have three documents under the human resource. We have the employee changes and new employee data. So we have two documents here, the employee changes and new employee data. Employee changes, if there are There are employees who retired, who resigned, or there are new employees in the organization or in the business. Okay, so we have new employee data. Okay, so such data and or the employee changes will be updated. Okay, so we have an update of employee payroll file is stored forms in a file. So it will be stored, or it will be filed based on the name of the employee, probably because the file here has A and D symbol, so alphabetically and based on date. Okay, at the same time, we have the departments. The different departments will provide a time card. Okay, and then um with that time cards, there will be a preparation of paychecks and payroll register and an update of file. Okay, in the preparation of time cards, it will be compared, or the tax table will be used, and also the employee data will be used for the preparation of such uh, paychecks and payroll register. Okay, after after the preparation of the paychecks and payroll register, so we have the following documents. Okay, we have two copies of employee checks, two copies of payroll register, and a time card. Okay, the time card which was provided by the different departments. Okay, a copy of the payroll register, the second copy, and the time card will be filed together with the employee data and employee changes. Okay, it will be filed. Then, the first copy of payroll register will go to the accounts payable department. And a copy of the employee checks, second copy will be also filed, and the first copy will be used later on and forwarded in other uh, department. So makikita natin dito the off-page connector. Okay, so from the file, okay, yung mga file dito sa file, no, ano yung mga na meron na tayo, we have the employee changes, employee data, at copy of the time card, payroll register, and employee check. Okay? So yun na yung mga nasa file natin. Okay, then after that, there will be a preparation of monthly tax report. Okay? In the preparation of monthly tax report, there will be two copies of tax report. Okay? And again, it will be the first copy will be transferred to the accounts payable, and the second copy will be filed under the payroll department. Okay? Then, from the file also, there will be a preparation of payroll report, and payroll report each pay period. And after the preparation, there will be the document we call payroll report. The payroll report and the employee check will be forwarded to the a specific department, which we're going to check later, labeled A. Okay, so we'll check on the other page later. So for now, let's go with the B here, which is an on-page connector pertaining to accounts payable. Okay, so Yung tax report na nakikita natin dito, it will be forwarded to the accounts payable. Makikita natin on the other side of the accounts payable, we have here the tax report. So, eto na po yun. Okay, so ang na-receive ni accounts payable, we have the payroll register, a copy of payroll register, and a copy of tax report. Okay, so 2 documents. On the payroll register, the accounts payable will prepare a payroll check and cash disbursement voucher. The same way, for the tax report received by the accounts payable, there will be a preparation of tax payment and cash disbursement voucher. Okay. On the payroll register, so meron na tayong copy niyan ng payroll register, and after we have also a 2 copies of payroll check and payroll cash disbursement voucher. Okay, 2 copies. Okay. Um, the first copy of payroll check and the first copy of payroll cash disbursement voucher will be saved or and will be transferred to a specific department, okay, labeled as D. And our off-page connector is labeled as D. The second copy and of payroll check and a second copy of the payroll cash disbursement voucher, including the payroll first copy of the payroll registered, will be filed by the accounts payable based on date. Okay, date of those documents. Okay, going back to the tax report, isn't it that we have the preparation of tax payment and cash disbursement voucher. So after with that process, we have then a 2 copy of tax payment check, 2 copy of payroll tax cash disbursement voucher, and the tax report. Okay, the tax report, the first copy of payroll tax cash disbursement voucher, and the first copy of tax payment check will be forwarded to another department. Okay, so we have here another page connector, off page connector labeled as C. We'll check that in the other page later. Okay, the second copy of the tax payment check and the second copy of payroll tax cash disbursement voucher will be filed again by the accounts payable, okay, and this will be filed based on the date of the documents. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, itong file na to pag-aari ng accounts payable department. Okay. So, kanina na class, we have the off-page connectors labeled as A, C, and D. Okay. So, here class, makikita natin in the other page that A, C, and D pertains to the management. Okay, the name of Susan. Okay, so si Susan or the management received the following documents. For A, we have the payroll report and employee check. For C, the payroll tax, cash disbursement voucher, tax payment check, and a copy of tax report. For D, we have the payroll cash disbursement voucher and payroll check. Okay, so all those documents will be processed separately. Okay, then there will be an approval. This is the process, approval and signing of checks. Okay, so after the approval and signing of checks, we have the following. Okay, let's start with the copy of tax report, signed tax payment check, and payroll tax cash disbursement voucher. Okay. For the second one, we have a copy of payroll cash disbursement voucher and assigned payroll check. And for the another one, another group of document, we have the payroll report and assigned employee check. Okay. The payroll report will be saved class by Susan or filed by Susan, okay, based on date. Okay, the signed employee check will be given to the employee. On the other set of document, the signed payroll check will be given to the bank, and the payroll cash disbursement voucher will be given to the general ledger accountant, which in the name of Ashton. Okay, makikita natin dyan, we have an on-page connector labeled as E. Okay, so pertains to Ashton. Makikita natin on the other side. We're going to discuss later the other side. And for um, the tax report and the signed tax payment check will be given to the governmental agencies. Okay, a copy of payroll tax cash disbursement voucher will be given to the general ledger accountant or the name of Ashton's for recording. Okay, so let's go now to the GL accountant or general ledger, which in the name of Ashton. Okay, Ashton receives the following: a copy of payroll tax cash disbursement voucher and a payroll cash disbursement voucher. Okay? Yung tax saka yung payroll cash disbursement voucher. Okay. So, dalawa yung na-receive niyang document. And then, pagka-receive niya ng document, Ashton will post to the general ledger and mark voucher posted. I-record niya yung transaction, and then ima-mark niya posted. Okay? To where? To the general ledger or to our journal. Okay? And then we have the documents received by Ashton will be filed by him, okay, as a file of the General Ledger Department. Okay, it will be filed and be numerically, okay, based on the documents number. Okay, so this is an example of a document flowchart. Now, let's have an example of system flowchart. Okay, so here, again, we have to read the flowchart from top to bottom, then left to right. Okay, let's start. So we have a personal computer, okay, with a terminal and uh, a keying device, input sales, or the inputting of sales and data, and then there will be an editing sales data and printing customer receipt. Okay, so the customer receipt will be given to the customer probably. Okay? We have the document customer receipt, and then after the preparation of the receipt, it will be saved in it will be saved, okay, in our saving device, sales data, name as sales data. After that, there will be another process, summarizing of sales data and printing of batch total. Okay, after it was summarized, the daily sales transaction files will be updated. Okay, then we have a batch totals as another document. Then the batch totals will be compared and reconciled with the updated database. Okay, the batch totals, which was extracted from our uh, updated database. In our updated database, we could see our accounts receivable. We have the accounts receivable database, inventory database, and sales marketing database. Also, the general ledger database. Okay, so with these four databases, we could have an inquiry processing system. We could see our customer accounting status. Okay, we could print our inventory status, and we could see it in a monitor probably, and also the sales analysis. Okay, so again, this is an example of system flowchart. Next, we have the program flowchart. Okay? So, ang susundan naman natin dito is the program flowchart. Okay? So, start tayo from top to bottom, then left to right. Okay? But here, we're going to start under the system flowchart. Okay? So, titingnan natin. We have the storage facility. Okay? Which is dito sa cylinder na to. And then, we have the following activities: the input, process, and output, or yung tinatawag natin na IPO. So from input, there will be processing, and then after the processing, the output or the final document na meron tayo. Okay? So if it's not finished, if we are not yet finished with the process, then we could save it or save our updates in our storage device. Okay, so let's take a look on the process. Okay, let's go into magnify it. So from flow program with our program flow chart, we could see that under the process, we have the inputting of data, and then we'll check if the condition is met. If it is not, then we have to go back with the or we have to review the inputting of data. If the condition is met, then we then perform calculation. Okay, after we have calculated it, we have to update the record. So this is again class an example of program flowchart. Okay, so siya natatapos yung topic natin for documentation. So let's move with our next topic, class. Moving to our next topic. Okay, so our next topic, class, is computer fraud. So for our learning objectives, by the end of the discussion, we should be able to explain the threats faced by modern information system, define fraud, and describe the process one follows to perpetrate a fraud, discuss who perpetrates fraud and why it occurs, including the pressure, opportunities, and rationalizations that are present in most fraud. So we have to be able to define computer fraud and discuss the different computer fraud classification, explain how to prevent and detect computer fraud and abuse. Oh, so let's start with the common threats to accounting information system. We have four. Okay, we have first natural disaster and terrorist attacks. If we say natural disaster, those are the what we call the acts of God. Okay, ito yung mga, for example, we have typhoon, tsunami, we have fire, floods. Okay, so those are natural disaster. Earthquake, volcanic eruption, natural disaster. Then we have terrorist threats. Okay? Terrorist threats. Okay, yung mga gawa ng mga terorista, yung panununog ng mga machines, ng mga warehouses. Okay, so ng ng building, those are example of terrorist threats. Next, we have software errors and or equipment malfunction. Okay, for example, ito yung mga limitations ng mga machine natin. Okay, ito yung halimbawa biglang nag-shutdown yung machine natin because luma na to or there is a power interruption, biglang na nagsara yung machine natin or nag-close yung machine natin, may mga hindi tayo na-save, hindi pag-open natin, hindi na siya updated, or nandyan yung mga nasira yung machine natin because of the um, dirty current natin or electricity. Kumbaga, hindi maganda yung fluctuation, yung pasok ng current natin. Okay? So, those are software errors and or equipment malfunction. Then, we have also unintentional acts or what we call human errors. Okay? Dito class, if we say error or human error, we have to take note that there is this unintentional acts. Ibig sabihin, it is unintentional on the part of the user of the accounting information system. They don't want to commit error. However, because of their limitation, their inefficiency probably, or because they lack technical knowledge, nag-commit sila ng error. Okay? And then we have what we call intentional act or computer crimes. Here, it's very obvious that there is the presence of or the intent. Okay, there is the intent to commit something that is unpleasant or something that can cause damage to uh, to our system or to our business. Okay? So ang tawag natin doon unintentional acts, computer crimes. Okay? So what is fraud? Okay? So let's define fraud. If we say fraud, it is an activity gaining an unfair advantage over another person. Okay? Probably a false statement, representation, or disclosure, a material fact that induces a person to act. Kumbaga, ito yung nagtitrigger class to another person to act immediately or something that hindi na niya napag-iisipan kung minsan. We have also the intent. This is very important, the intent to deceive. Okay? It is also a justifiable reliance on the fraudulent fact in which a person takes action. Okay? Because of the fraudulent scheme, the decision makers, okay, napipilitan silang gumawa ng action and to rely on those fraudulent claims or assertions of the fraudster. Okay, and we have also here, it's very important also, the injury or loss suffered by the victim. Okay, if you say fraud, the individual who commit fraud are referred to as white collar criminal. Okay. So here class, we have the term white collar criminal. Therefore, meron bang hindi white collar criminal? And we have the blue collar criminals. What is the difference class between a white collar criminal and a blue collar criminal? Okay. So if we say blue collar criminal, it is the same with the um, yung normal na idea natin of criminals. Ito yung nanlilisik probably yung mata, ito yung nakakatakot, something that could harm us. Okay? Iniisip natin na dangerous person. Okay? Yung mga nakakatakot na mga tao. Okay? So yun yung mga tinatawag natin na blue collar criminal. While if we say white collar criminal class, okay, ito yung mga mukhang mababait naman, okay, mukhang mapagkakatiwalaang tao, mukhang mukhang malapit-lapit sa mukha mo, probably, or yung mga tipong hindi mo nakikitaan ng masamang intensyon. Okay? However, class, the intent, hindi natin kasi masasabi based on the appearance. So, if we are only looking on their appearance, parang normal na normal sila, mabait pa nga eh. Okay? Mabait pa yung tsura nila. But they have this tendency to commit something or commit a specific fraudulent activity. Okay? So, ang tawag natin sa kanila, white collar criminals. Okay? So, we have different forms of fraud. We have misappropriation of assets. Okay, and fraudulent financial reporting. Under misappropriation of asset, we have the following: theft of a company's asset, and the largest factor for theft of asset, okay, bakit nga ba nagkakaroon ng theft of asset? It may be because of the absence of internal control system. Okay, ito yung pinaka-reason kung bakit may mga fraud na nangyayari. Absence of internal control system, or kung meron mang internal control system, there is the what we call the failure to enforce internal control system. Kumbaga yung implementation, yun yung nagiging problema. How they going to implement the internal control system. Okay? So also, another form of fraud is the fraudulent financial reporting. Here, there is the intentional or reckless conduct, whether by act of omission, that result in material misleading of financial statement. Okay, again, intentional or reckless conduct. Let's go to the different reasons for a fraudulent financial statement. First, okay, it is to, for the reason, what is the reason? It is to deceive investors or creditors, para lokohin yung mga creditors saka yung mga investors natin. Kaya usually, wini-window dress nila yung financial statement natin. Number two, increase company's stock price. Okay? Diba? Ang main objective ng management is to increase the stock price of the company so that the the investors will investors value, or the wealth of the investors will go up. Okay, so para mas yumaman sila, they tend to increase, they are forced to increase the company's stock price. And third, to meet cash flow needs. Okay, so para mas madaming mag-invest sa kanila, because probably they are in need of cash for expansion or whatsoever uh, cash flow needs. Okay? And the fourth reason is to hide company losses or other problems. Okay? So para pagtakpan probably yung yung losses nila. Okay? So this is kung makikita niyo yung case ng Enron case, which I asked you to read dati nung mga first part ng klase natin, at present tong mga to, class. Diba? Okay. So, according to the Treadway Commission actions, here are the ways how to reduce fraud. Number one, establish environment which supports the integrity of financial reporting process. So, importante talaga yung integrity, the culture, business culture. Okay? Kasi doon nanggagaling lahat. Kung maganda yung kultura ng negosyo ng business natin, yung business environment. Therefore, lahat susunod. Lahat susunod doon. Then number two, there should be a proper identification of factors that lead to fraud. So we have to make a study analyzing what are the factors that lead to fraud. Then number three, assessment, or we have to assess the risk of fraud within the company. And number four, we have to design, implement internal controls to provide assurance that fraud is being prevented. Okay, again, class, if we say design and implementation of internal control, it is the management responsibility to design and implement internal control. It is not the auditors who has the responsibility to design and implement internal control. Okay, class, we have what we call fraud triangle. Okay, so If we say triangle, it has three sides. Okay? The first side represents pressure, second side represents opportunity, and the third side represents rationalization. Okay? These three sides of the triangle represents the three conditions that are present when fraud occurs. Ibig sabihin, usually class, ito yung nag-trigger para magkaroon ng fraud: pressure, opportunity, and rationalization. Let's start with pressure. Okay? So we have what we call employee pressure and financial pressure. Pag sinabi nating pressure, those are the things that or those are the motivation or incentive to commit fraud. Okay? First, let's the employee pressure. Okay? So sa employee pressure, ano yun yung mga usually ng pre-pressure sa mga empleyado natin to commit fraud? We have one, financial. Ibig sabihin, merong kakulangan sa ah, financial resources niya. Okay? A typical example of this class is when yung sahod ng isang employee ay hindi enough to cover his or her expenses. Okay? Hindi siya nagkakasya para sa monthly na gastusin niya sa pamumuhay. Okay? Or we have the emotional pressure. Ito yung paano kung, for example, meron siyang kailangang bayaran or may pamilya pa siya sa baryo na kailangang tustusan, okay? Meron pa siyang kailangang bayarang utang and saka something that will pressure the emotional state of the employee. Or also we have the lifestyle pressure. Ito yung lifestyle level niya masyadong mataas at hindi niya kayang suportahan to. Let's say for example, okay, pag lifestyle, what if sumasahod ka ng mga, sabihin natin 15,000, okay? 15,000 and then nung kinompute mo lahat ng mga expenses mo, okay, mayroon kang isang. Siyempre, isa lang ang asawa mo, dalawang anak ko, sabihin natin, so apat kayo sa family mo. Ang sinasahod mo 15,000. Ngayon, yung 15,000 na yun, medyo kinukulang para sa daily expenses nyo. Nung kinompute mo, ang kinakailangan pala is 25,000. Assuming only 25,000. 15,000 yung sinasahod mo. So, merong difference na 10,000. Okay, so yung 10,000 plus na difference, ito yung nagbibigay sa iyo or sa employee ng pressure kasi kailangan niyang makahanap ng 10,000 para ma, ma supplement or mapunuan niya yung kakulangan. Okay, so that is what we call financial pressure. Emotional pressure, ito yung parang yung pakiramdam na kawawa siya. Okay, and then so kailangan niyang gawan ng paraan yung pangangailangan niya. Lifestyle, ito yung paano kung namumuhay siya ng masyadong ah, enggrande yung pamumuhay niya, ah, kailangan yung suot niyang damit is masyadong yung mga mamahaling damit, yung mga alahas niya, yung gadgets na meron siya. Okay? So, titingnan natin yung lifestyle. More so, if meron pa siyang mga vices, okay? Kung nagkakaroon siya ng mga addiction in some specific activities, it's not only drugs, pero yung mga, for example, um, alcoholic addiction, or gambling. Okay, so yun yung mga yun. So, kailangan niyang suportahan yon. So, therefore, ito yung nag-trigger class para mag-commit ang isang tao into fraud. Okay? So, ang tawag natin doon pressure. Ito yung nagpre-pressure sa kanya. In financial naman class, okay, usually it is a industry condition, okay, in where we have to consider also the management characteristic, okay, yung condition ng business, saka ano ba yung characteristic or behavior ng management, paano nila dinidiktahan yung mga employees nila. Okay. So sometimes because of too much pressure or given to us by the top level management, we are forced to window dress our financial statement. Let's say for example, ang sinasabi ni management, we need at least 20% increase in our sales. Therefore, kung hindi naman kinakaya talaga ng ng operations yung 20% increase in sales, na pressure yung manager, yung operations manager together with the accounting manager to window dress the financial statement of the company. Next, we have opportunity, the second side of the triangle. Okay, so if we say opportunity, these are the condition or situation that allows a person or organization to, number one, to commit the fraud, number two, conceal the fraud, okay, and number three, convert the theft or misrepresentation to personal gain. Okay. So, pag sinabi nating opportunity class, those are the situation, okay? Yung mga pangyayari na parang pakiramdam natin ay available to. Okay? So, it gives us the window to commit the fraud. Okay? To conceal the fraud and to convert the theft or misrepresentation to personal gain. Okay. So, for example, class, okay, a simple illustration of this is that when okay, pag naiwan ka sa sa isang room, okay, let's say for example, nagkaroon tayo ng break. Naiwan ka sa isang room at you're aware na may pera yung bag ng classmate mo or ng kaibigan mo. Okay? Naiwan ka mag-isa sa loob ng classroom kasi nag-declare ako ng break. Now, kung kukunin mo yung pera na yon, walang makakakita sa'yo kasi wala namang CCTV, wala namang human CCTV, or wala namang mga mata na makakakuha sa'yo. So, kung kinuha mo yung pera, hindi naman siya matitrace. Okay? So, you can conceal it. Tapos, of course, pag sinabi nating cash, kung sino yung may hawak nun, siya yung kino-consider na may-ari ng cash. Therefore, kahit gamitin mo yung cash na yon, pambili ng kahit ano, tatanggapin yan ng mga nagbebenta. Okay? So, here class, we have the opportunity to commit the fraud. Okay? Next, the third side of the triangle, we have rationalization. If we say rationalization, it is the justification of illegal behavior. Okay? We are trying to justify our illegal acts. Okay, so first, the justification. Usually, we have this idea na I'm not being dishonest, actually. Kumbaga, hindi naman ako naging dishonest, hindi ko nga lang sinasabi. Okay? Or yung concept na it's okay lang naman magnakaw kasi lahat naman magnanakaw sa mundo. Kasi lahat naman gumagawa ng kasalanan. Okay? Okay lang gumawa ng kasalanan kung paminsan-minsan lang naman at hindi naman masyadong ikakabagsak or kakasira ng negosyo ng may-ari. So, okay lang kumuha ng pakonti-konti. Okay? So, eto yung justification class. Kumbaga, we are feeding our minds with um, things na parang magpapabawas doon sa konsensya natin para hindi tayo masyadong makonsensya. Ang tawag natin dito, this is the learned conscience. Okay? Kumbaga, tinuturuan natin yung konsensya natin. Kasi kung ano yung iniisip natin, ano yung sinasaksak natin sa utak natin, eto yung parang na nako-conceive ng konsensya natin. Okay? So ang tawag natin doon, learned conscience. And the other one, the attitude per se of the person. Okay? So we have here, I don't need to be honest. Hindi ko naman kailangang maging honest eh. Okay? Hanggang hindi wala naman ako nasasaktan, hindi naman ako nananakit ng ibang tao. So okay lang kung minsan ang hindi maging honest. Okay, that attitude of a person or the lack of personal integrity. Ito yung questionable na talaga yung may pagkukulang sa integridad ng isang tao. Dito, sometimes we think theft is valued higher than honesty or integrity. Mas mataas kasi parang naging priority na natin yung theft or yung pagnanakaw. Okay? So that is rationalization. Again, to summarize, we have the three parts of the triangle. We have pressure, opportunity, and rationalization. Presence of one might trigger a specific person or employee to commit fraud, pero kung there is the presence of two or the three of these factors might cause a higher risk for a person to commit a fraud. Okay? Now we have computer fraud. If we say computer fraud, any illegal act in which knowledge of computer technology is necessary for the perpetration, investigation, and prosecution. Okay. So, plus, there is now the rise of computer fraud. We are in the what we call the computer era. Okay? Sa ngayon, parang ang buhay na natin nakasentro na sa mga computers. Okay? Nabubuhay na tayo sa era ng mga computers. Okay? And with this class, there is also the rise of computer fraud. And it's something na nakakatakot na because of this fraud, those fraud activities are very rampant. Okay? So, if you say in this rise of the computer fraud, the computer fraud is something that we could not define with or we could not put in a specific box because it's too broad. Okay? Kumbaga ang daming mga nangyayari. There are so many schemes. And the worst or unlikely thing is many go undetected. Hindi na na-detect or even though if it's detected, sometimes there is a high percentage of it that is not being reported or hindi na siya report or hindi na uh, sinasabi sa mga police or sa NBI or sa authority. Okay? Kasi nakakahiya na nabiktima tayo ng fraudulent activities. Okay? Lack of network security could be attributable also to this rise of computer fraud. And also we have the step-by-step guides are easily available. Law enforcement is overburdened. Kasi di ba yung law enforcement naman natin, kokonti lang yung assign um, sa mga computer fraud. At ang for example, yung PNP natin, hindi mo naman i-expect na sila is knowledgeable with computer fraud. Therefore, anong gagawin nila? What will be their action? Okay? So, they are not expert. We are not expert on those activities. And also, there is the difficulty of calculating loss. There are so many millions, in multi-millions yung nawawala because of these fraudulent activities. Okay, let's go to computer fraud classification. If we say computer fraud classification, we have the input fraud or the alteration or falsifying the input. We have the processor fraud or the unauthorized system use, computer instruction fraud, the modifying of software, illegal copying of software, using software in an authorized manner, creating software to undergo unauthorized activities. Okay, di ba? Also to yung crack version, something gano'n. Crack version ng mga software. Okay, then we have also what we call the data fraud, illegally using, copying, browsing, searching, or harming company data. And we have the output fraud, is stealing, copying, or misusing computer printouts or displayed information. Okay, it's very we should be careful of it because we possibly because of this output fraud we could lose so many opportunities. Okay, and that is our the end of our topic, computer fraud. Okay, so thank you very much for listening.